There comes a time in life when you must make a choice to stop settling, stop doubting, and stop letting fear dictate your future. Too many people are walking around carrying a version of themselves that was never meant to survive, a weak, hesitant, excuse-making version that keeps them trapped in mediocrity. But today, I came with a word for you. That weak version of yourself has to die. You can't step into your destiny while clinging to fear. You can't walk in power while carrying the weight of doubt. There is a stronger, bolder, more powerful version of you waiting to be unleashed. But you have to make the decision to kill the weak version and step into the greatness that's already inside you. Are you ready? Because today we go to war with everything that has held you back. Every single one of us is engaged in a battle that doesn't take place in the physical world but deep within. It's the battle between who you are and who you were created to be. It's the battle between your potential and your excuses, between your destiny and your doubts. And let me tell you, this battle is the reason so many people live beneath their calling, beneath their anointing, beneath their purpose. See, the problem is not that you lack talent. It's not that you lack intelligence. It's not even that you lack opportunity. The real problem is that you have been listening to the voice of the weak version of yourself for far too long. That voice that whispers, "You're not good enough." That voice that tells you, "Stay where it's safe." That voice that reminds you of every failure, every rejection, every reason why you should give up before you even try. You know that voice. It's the voice that convinces you to procrastinate on your dreams. The one that makes you shrink back when you should be standing tall. The one that tells you maybe this isn't for you when deep down you know you were made for more. That voice has been running your life, dictating your choices, and keeping you locked in a cycle of fear and hesitation. And the dangerous thing about this weak version of you is that it knows exactly how to keep you trapped. It knows how to disguise itself as wisdom when really it's just fear in a different outfit. It knows how to make comfort feel like peace when really it's just stagnation. It knows how to make you justify why you're still in the same place year after year, going in circles, waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. This weak version of you has built walls around your potential. It has convinced you that you don't have what it takes, that you're not worthy, that your dreams are too big. It has used your past against you, reminding you of every mistake, every shortcoming, every time you fell short. It has kept you in a mindset of survival when you were meant to thrive. It has made you comfortable with being average when you were called to be exceptional. And here's the worst part. The weak version of you doesn't just show up in the big moments. No, it creeps into the little things. It's the reason you hit snooze instead of waking up early to work on your vision. It's the reason you hesitate to speak up when you know you have something valuable to say. It's the reason you doubt yourself even when you've already been equipped with everything you need to succeed. This weak version of you is sneaky. It disguises laziness as self-care. It makes fear look like caution. It makes settling for less feel like being realistic. But let me tell you something. There is nothing realistic about living below your potential. There is nothing wise about allowing fear to dictate your decisions. There is nothing safe about wasting the gifts that were placed inside of you. But if you don't recognize this battle, if you don't see this weak version of yourself for what it really is, you will continue to let it rob you of your destiny. You will keep talking yourself out of opportunities. You will keep making excuses instead of making progress. You will keep watching other people step into their calling while you stay stuck in the same cycle, wondering why things aren't changing. And the most dangerous thing about this weak version of yourself? It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It doesn't come at you screaming. No. It's subtle. It's the small compromises, the little moments of hesitation, the tiny whispers of doubt that seem harmless until one day you look up and realize years have passed and you're still in the same place. Still dreaming, still wishing, still hoping, but never moving. This is the battle you're fighting, and whether you realize it or not, every single day, you are either feeding the weak version of yourself or starving it. You are either giving in to the excuses, the fears, the doubts, or you are choosing to rise above them. Transformation is never easy. It is not something that happens overnight, and it is not something that happens without a fight. Transformation is a battle between what has been and what is yet to come. It is the process of breaking free from everything that has held you captive, every limitation, every negative mindset, every bad habit, every chain that has kept you bound in the same place for far too long. The truth is, real transformation requires pain. It requires sacrifice. It requires a willingness to go through discomfort for the sake of something greater, because nothing changes without resistance. Nothing evolves without pressure. Nothing grows without struggle. You cannot expect to step into a new version of yourself while still holding on to the old one. You cannot expect to rise to new heights while clinging to the weights that have been dragging you down. But that is exactly where so many people get stuck. They want change, but they don't want the struggle that comes with it. They want breakthrough, but they don't want to endure the process of breaking. They want to step into their purpose, but they are unwilling to leave behind the comfort of where they've always been. And so they remain trapped, not because they lack potential, not because they lack ability, but because they refuse to let go of the things that are keeping them small. Transformation demands that you confront yourself. It demands that you take a hard, honest look at your life and acknowledge the areas where you have been holding yourself back. It demands that you ask yourself the tough questions. What am I still clinging to that is keeping me from growing? What fears have I allowed to dictate my decisions? What excuses have I made that have kept me from stepping into my destiny? What toxic patterns am I repeating that are sabotaging my future? Because make no mistake about it, every chain that holds you back is one that you have the power to break. Every stronghold, every mindset, every lie that has been whispered into your ear telling you that you can't, that you won't, that you'll never be enough, it all has to be destroyed if you are going to become who you were meant to be. But here's the thing, nobody can break those chains for you. Nobody can make the decision for you. Nobody can force you to step into the fire of transformation and come out refined on the other side. That is a decision only you can make, and the process is not going to be comfortable because transformation requires you to let go of things you may have grown attached to. It requires you to release relationships that no longer serve you, habits that no longer elevate you, environments that no longer challenge you. It forces you to unlearn everything that has kept you stuck. The fear, the doubt, the self-sabotage, the insecurity. It strips you down to your core and demands that you rebuild yourself from the inside out. And that is why so many people choose to stay the same, because the process of transformation is painful. It requires you to step into the unknown. It requires you to let go of the familiar. It requires you to operate at a level that stretches you beyond what you thought you were capable of. But the truth is, you will never experience the power of transformation if you are unwilling to go through the fire of change. You will never know what you are truly capable of if you refuse to push past the barriers that have confined you. You will never reach the heights you are destined for if you keep allowing the weight of your past to hold you down. And the chains that hold you back, they are not just external. They are not just the people around you, the circumstances you face, or the obstacles in your path. No, the greatest chains are the ones that exist in your own mind, the chains of fear, the chains of self-doubt, the chains of insecurity, the chains of past failures that whisper, "You've tried before and failed. What makes you think this time will be any different?" The chains of comparison that make you look at other people's success and wonder if you even have what it takes. The chains of comfort that make you stay in a place you've outgrown, because stepping into something greater feels too risky. But transformation does not happen in comfort. It does not happen in hesitation. It does not happen in fear. It happens when you make the decision to break the chains. When you make the decision to stop being a prisoner to your old self. When you make the decision to embrace the fire, endure the struggle, and push past everything that has ever tried to keep you from walking in your full potential. Because if you do not break the chains, if you do not embrace transformation, you will spend your entire life circling the same mountains, fighting the same battles, making the same excuses, and wondering why nothing ever changes. There is something inside of you that has been waiting to be released, a fire, a power, a divine force that has been locked away beneath layers of fear, insecurity, and hesitation. You were not created to live a life of mediocrity. You were not designed to stay small, to shrink back, or to settle for anything less than the fullness of what has been placed inside of you. But too many people go through life never truly tapping into the depths of their potential, never fully realizing what they are capable of, because they have allowed their past, their pain, and their perception of themselves to place limits on what they can achieve. Unleashing your true potential is not about learning something new. It is about activating what has been in you all along. It is about waking up to the fact that everything you need is already inside of you, buried beneath layers of doubt, waiting for you to believe in it. It is about silencing the voices that have told you that you are not enough, that you are not worthy, that you are not capable. Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live is your willingness to step into it. And stepping into your calling requires a mindset shift. It requires you to stop thinking small. It requires you to stop underestimating yourself. It requires you to stop measuring your potential based on your past experiences and start seeing yourself through the lens of who you were created to be, because your potential is not defined by what you have done before. It is defined by what is still inside of you waiting to be manifested. But here is where most people get stuck. They want clarity before they move. They want all the answers before they take the first step. They want to know how the journey will unfold before they begin. And because they cannot see the whole path, they never take the first step. They wait, they hesitate. They tell themselves, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll move when the time is right. But what they don't realize is that the time will never be perfect, and clarity comes through movement. You don't find your potential by waiting. You find it by stepping out in faith. And when you do, something shifts. When you make the decision to step into your calling, even before you feel ready, something inside of you begins to awaken. The gifts you didn't even know you had begin to rise to the surface. The strength you thought you lacked suddenly appears. The doors that once seemed locked begin to open, not because they weren't always meant for you, but because you finally had the courage to walk toward them. But unleashing your true potential is not just about stepping into opportunities. It's about stepping into a new identity. It's about becoming the version of yourself that is capable of handling what you are asking for. Because potential is not just about talent or ability. It is about character, discipline, and endurance. And if you want to sustain the calling on your life, you have to be willing to grow into the person who can carry it. That means doing the hard work. That means developing the habits that align with your destiny. That means surrounding yourself with people who challenge you instead of keeping you comfortable. That means letting go of everything that no longer serves the version of you that you are becoming. Because the truth is, you cannot step into a new season with an old mindset. You cannot walk into your future while still thinking like the person you used to be. And too many people try to hold on to both. They try to step into greatness while clinging to their old habits. They try to walk in power while still entertaining their old fears. They try to step into new opportunities while still seeking validation from people who were never meant to go with them. But stepping into your calling requires you to fully commit, not halfway, not with hesitation, but with boldness, with certainty, with a fire inside of you that refuses to be dimmed. And here's what you have to understand. Your potential is not just about you. It is about the people you are meant to impact. It is about the lives that are waiting on your obedience. It is about the purpose that has been placed on you, the work that only you can do, the message that only you can carry. And if you never unleash your full potential, you are not just robbing yourself, you are robbing the world of what you were meant to contribute. But the choice is yours. You can stay where it's comfortable, where it's safe, where it's familiar. You can keep playing small, keep making excuses, keep telling yourself that one day you'll step into it when you feel ready. Or you can decide right now that you are done waiting, that you are done doubting, that you are done holding back what was meant to be released. Because the moment you do, the moment you make the decision to fully step into your calling, everything in your life begins to shift. Stepping into your true potential is not just about having a moment of inspiration. It is about sustaining the transformation. Because it is one thing to break free from the weak version of yourself, but it is another thing to stay free. It is one thing to step into power, but it is another thing to live in power. It is one thing to claim authority, but it is another thing to walk in authority daily. Too many people experience breakthrough only to fall back into the same habits, the same patterns, the same small mindset that once kept them bound. Why? Because transformation is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. It is a decision you must make every morning when you wake up. Will I operate in power today, or will I slip back into the familiar? Will I walk in confidence, or will I entertain old fears? Will I stand firm in my identity, or will I let life push me back into who I used to be? Living with power and authority means you no longer allow life to dictate your responses. You no longer allow circumstances to shake your foundation. You no longer let people's opinions determine your confidence. Because when you truly step into the new you, you understand that power is not something you reach for, it is something you carry. It is not something you hope for, it is something you walk in. It is not something you beg for, it is something you embody. But sustaining this new version of yourself requires discipline. It requires you to protect your mindset, to guard your heart, and to be intentional about the things you allow into your life, because the moment you step into power, opposition will come. The moment you start walking in authority, distractions will arise. The moment you begin to operate in confidence, something will try to pull you back into insecurity. And if you are not rooted, if you are not grounded, if you have not made the decision to protect your transformation, you will find yourself slipping back into the very things you fought so hard to break free from. That is why you have to create new habits that align with the new version of you. Because you cannot sustain power with an undisciplined life. You cannot maintain authority with a weak mindset. You cannot continue to walk in your calling if you keep feeding the old behaviors that once kept you from it. If you want to stay strong, you have to be intentional about what you feed your spirit, what you allow into your mind, and what you entertain in your daily life. And part of this process means surrounding yourself with the right people. Because when you start living in power, you will realize that some people were only comfortable with the weak version of you. They liked you when you were doubtful. They liked you when you were small. They liked you when you needed their validation. But now that you are standing in authority, now that you are walking in confidence, now that you no longer need their approval to move forward, Some people will become uncomfortable. Some will try to remind you of who you used to be. Some will try to pull you back into old habits, not because they are bad people, but because your transformation challenges them. But you cannot shrink back to make other people comfortable. You cannot dim your light because others are intimidated by it. You cannot apologize for your growth. You have to stand firm in who you have become, knowing that you have worked too hard, prayed too hard, fought too hard to go back to where you started. Living with power and authority also means learning how to navigate seasons of resistance. Because when you step into the fullness of your identity, the enemy of your progress will not just sit back and let you walk into greatness without a fight. There will be moments where doubt tries to creep in again. Moments where fear whispers in your ear. Moments where you feel the weight of responsibility and wonder if you are really strong enough to carry it. And this is where many people fall, not because they aren't powerful, not because they don't have authority, but because they were not prepared for the battle that comes with the next level. They expected transformation to be a one-time breakthrough, but they didn't realize it is a daily fight. They didn't realize that sustaining the new version of themselves would require them to continue growing, continue stretching, continue pushing past every limitation, every distraction, every obstacle that tries to pull them back. This is why you cannot afford to get comfortable. You cannot afford to stop evolving. You cannot afford to stop learning, stop strengthening yourself, stop challenging yourself, because the moment you get comfortable, the moment you stop being intentional about maintaining your growth, you open the door for old habits, old mindsets, and old struggles to creep back in. And too many people lose their power not because they lacked it, but because they stopped guarding it. They stopped protecting what they built. They stopped doing the things that kept them strong. They let distractions take them off course. They allowed negativity to seep into their minds. They got so confident in their progress that they forgot what it took to get there in the first place. But when you are truly committed to sustaining the new you, you operate differently. You move with intention. You stay sharp. You don't let little things throw you off course. You don't let every challenge shake your confidence. You don't waste time on things that don't serve your purpose. Because you understand that living in power is not a feeling. It is a decision, it is a way of life, it is a commitment to never returning to a place of weakness, to never allowing anything or anyone to convince you to shrink back into a version of yourself that no longer exists. There comes a moment in life when you have to make a decision, not just a wish, not just a desire, but a firm, unwavering decision. A decision to rise, to evolve, to step into everything that has been placed inside of you. A decision to no longer entertain the weak, doubtful, fearful version of yourself that has kept you bound for too long. A decision to walk in power, confidence, and boldness like never before. You were not created to be average. You were not designed to live beneath your calling. You were not placed on this earth to simply exist, to settle, to watch life pass you by while you sit in hesitation, in fear, in complacency. There is greatness inside of you, but it will never be unlocked as long as you keep nurturing the weak version of yourself. That weak version, the one that second guesses, the one that makes excuses, the one that waits for perfect conditions, the one that keeps replaying past failures, the one that stays silent when it should speak, the one that shrinks back when it should step forward. It has to die. It has to be buried. It has to be completely eliminated so that the strongest, boldest, most unstoppable version of you can emerge. And when you finally step into your true potential, when you finally embrace the power, the authority, the purpose that has been waiting for you, your life will never be the same again. Because you will no longer be controlled by fear. You will no longer be bound by limitations. You will no longer waste another second playing small, doubting your worth, or walking beneath the level you were meant to live.